What's going on, guys? Shion KP here. Let's talk a little bit more about weaponry, Bukijitsu, or more commonly known as Kobudo or Kobujitsu. Now, let me start this by saying when I first started my weapons training, I actually wasn't a fan. Right away, I was like a lot of you. How is this going to translate into the street? Oh, you'll never find these weapons in the street. No one walks around with a kama. No one walks around with tonfa. Nobody walks around with nunchaku. How is this going to help me? This is dumb. What starts to happen is you're going to begin to realize that the weapons training and the dexterity that comes with it, I'm not talking about the party trick stuff, but the actual combative application, how to maneuver these weapons, will make you substantially better when it comes to your transition, your locking, your trapping, your position recognition, and your control. People will see me hitting the bag or see me hitting mitts and they're like, oh man, I didn't know karate guy had such good hands. The reality of the situation is what makes me fast or makes me the dexterity that happens there all comes from this, manipulating the weapons, moving the weapons. When you take that away, right, a lot of these weapons have a lot of weight to them. My sai are like 3 to 4 pounds each. You take that away and that's going to give you a substantial amount of speed and dexterity in your hands. It's unparalleled. The Filipino martial artists actually train with the weapons first, then they take the weapons away, and then they start doing the empty hand. And that's how the samurai trained as well originally, was weapons first, then the empty hand. Because the reality is with them, you have to get through all this stuff. The katana was a sidearm. You know, they had tantos. They had all kinds of fun things you have to get through to get to the hand-to-hand. The same thing in the military, right? You have a firearm, a field knife, a rifle. You have to get through all that before they could even put their hands on you in most cases. So you really have to understand the value of these weapons. Knocking one weapon to boost another weapon makes no sense. You are going to need training regardless of what you want to say. Oh, yeah, you know, it takes away the human body, the hands and the feet, the elbows, the head. Those are weapons. And we have to train them to make them the most efficient and effective weapons that we can have. Because the average person doesn't know how to properly throw an elbow, how to properly use a hammer fist or a palm or a nukite. They don't understand how to do these things. Or they won't even think of it, hey, I can do a spinning elbow, a side elbow, unless they're exposed to it. So the same thing goes for weapons. Now let's get into it a little bit. Let's say a stick. Anytime you have a stick that's longer than what we call a tambo, or what you see Cali sticks, the screaming sticks, or properly known as bastons, you're gonna wanna use two hands. Now, does that cause a fault in the weapon because you have to have two hands in it? It can, right? But when I swing a stick like this, I'm never going to do it like that. Maybe someone who has no idea what they're doing, but someone who's trained is going to know how to manipulate it this way, right? How to shorten the weapon, boom, hook, hit, and strike with it. You can hook someone's arm. You can parry another weapon away, strike them, grab them, knee, bang, drop it on the head and come back around. The average person does not know to do this. What does it require? Training. Smashing someone here, hooking them behind the head, pushing things away and striking back, all requires training. It's not going to happen overnight. And then the proper training will make you understand the angles of attack and also the weaknesses that the angles of attack might open up and how to defend those and be aware of them. For example, we have 45, across, up, down, straight, hooking, smashing. These are all areas of attack, right? But also, behind you this way, behind you up at an angle, behind you down. Because you can strike with a weapon that is a stick and is not pliable behind you. Someone's behind you, boom, up under the chin. Someone behind you, stop on the toes. Someone's behind you, the groin, the thigh, smacking across that way. These are options. But unless you're trained to see those options, you're not going to understand them. And the same thing goes for the nunchaku. We look at this here. This is what we call a tambo. It's different than the Filipino baston because it's thicker and a little shorter. But the reality is a lot of the application is pretty much the same. The same goes for nunchaku. People think because they have the chain that that's the only way to strike with it. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. The same angles of attack. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Apply with the nunchaku. You take this weapon. There's two sticks. It's still two sticks. You reinforce those sticks. You strike. you strike, you hit here, boom. And then if you want, you can come out and strike. It doesn't limit you. You can use the weapon in multiple ways. So just because there's a chain or a rope, kusari o hime, does not mean that you're obligated to use the weapon like a melee weapon. But the beauty of it is that you can. Does that make sense? So I'm not stuck to having just to do this, that, right? Or trapping an arm, locking an arm, choking, hitting, boom, 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 right? Hit, forward, strike. I can do that if I want. But now, for whatever reason I want to create distance, I can open the tool up and do that. Use this as a shield. Hey, get away from me. Get away from me. And I can use it to do that. But I don't have to. You understand? So I'm not locked into having to do that. The thing is, with a stick or a weapon that's not pliable, that doesn't have that bendy action, I am kind of forced to play by a certain set of rules. Does that make sense? So I can use this as a swinging weapon. I can trap with it. I can lock with it. I can choke with it. But now if I want, I can use it as a solid weapon. Boom, right across the face. Bang, with the bottom of it. I don't have to do that. I can change it up if I like. For example, let's take a bladed weapon. We all know what bladed weapons do. 1, 2, right? Not always. I can use the back of it and smack someone on the side of the head. Pop. I can use the spine of it if it's not serrated or edged. Parry, strike as well. I can use the bottom of it to strike. Boom, right across someone's face. So I am not subjective to the rules of the average mind. That's why training is important. Let's look at something like a karambit, for example. I have a karambit, right? Most people have seen these online. There's a blade here. We all know what this does. But I can use the karambit in other ways. I can strike with it. I can hit with it. I can strike the side of someone's face. Boom! Top of someone's head. Someone's arm. Here, I can hit them with this. And now it's solid. I hold it here. Bam, 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 bam. I don't have to just cut. I can hit and use it in different tool ways. Bam, into the groin. Bam, bam, bam. So I can do hammer fist with the weapon now. But now I have this reinforcing that. Boom. Hit. Bang, bam, bam. I can box them out. Bam, bam. So it doesn't matter. But you have to have training to understand the weapon. If you're not training in these weapons, you can't really speak on them. Because you don't understand the versatility of them. They're not stuck to those set of rules that are guidelined by human nature. Because now we're training other aspects of it. Does that make sense? Last weapon I'll talk about, I promise. We take tonfa. People use to see them. They don't understand what these swings are. All this cool stuff, what is it? Same as an nunchaku. I could be deflecting, I could be striking, or I could be creating a shield for myself, so now it's hard for someone to know where to get in. But I'm not subjective to using it this way. I can strike, I can hook and pull, I can trap and lock and choke. I can use it this way and choke. Same rules apply. Tonfa, sai, tanbo, these were all policing tools. So they all allow you to trap, lock, disarm, control, and seize an attacker, I don't like the word opponent, an assailant, a perp. We all have that option. We can bash with it, we can hit with it, right? This is a very versatile tool. I can smack with it. But now if I want, I can bash this way and use it like a hammer. The rules do not apply, right? The average rules, the mindset. Get some training, guys, before you guys start debating about what weapon is useless and what weapon isn't, because 90% of the people debating never had any real training. And if they did, very minuscule. Get some real training. It doesn't have to be under me, but it can. I do give classes on Zoom, and I do travel and do seminars. If you are interested in learning how to use these weapons before doing this about them, hit me up.